Welcome back to our vlog on the Sea Life Diaries, where you will see how we spent the last 2 days of our cruise. So join us. Join us as we return from our recent excursion to Hamburg. An excursion we both thoroughly enjoyed, although it was rather cold.
We had a bit of lunch.
Yeah, lunch was nice.
Yeah, just in the pavilion, didn't we?
Yes. Well, it's the...
What's it called?
No, it's not the pavilion, the Artisans Food Hall.
Right, in there.
Which is... actually, we're quite liking the Artisans
We are,
Food
yeah.
Hall.
I don't normally like the buffet on a cruise ship because it's packed.
Yeah.
But it's very nice on this ship. So.
And we've had quite a good variety of dishes in there.
Well, some more than others.
Oh, you know.
We really do love this buffet. Joanne had her normal baguettes, a tuna one and an egg mayonnaise one with crisps on the side. This is the katsu curry.
Oh, chicken then.
Chicken and pork. Stem ginger and rice. Once again, we ate in that space behind the Artisans Food Hall, the Arian, which was a lovely space to have a meal. Quiet, no one was there.
Then in the evening, we did a couple of things. We had a quite nice evening meal. We did video it apart from the main dish.
Yes,
a slight technical problem there. But we'll show you what we did video.
What, the empty plate?
Yes.
Had roast chicken, didn't we?
So I had a veal loin. It was very good.
And then we had cauliflower soup, which was delicious.
And I decided not to go for the third dish this time.
What, the salad?
The salad, yeah.
I didn't have the salad.
Yeah.
And then you had a dessert, which I didn't have.
I know. You're
What
being
did you
too
have?
good. Pavlova.
You say pavlova, isn't it?
Pavlova.
Pavlova.
Which was really nice, actually. Very delicate.
The menu in the Britannia restaurant we found very good. It offered up to 5 courses, and whilst that was probably a bit much for us, we could have gone without a course if we wanted to. The taste, the options that were available were actually really good. So Joanne had the pate, I had the smoked mackerel, both of those were very nice, and then we followed up with a cauliflower soup. Neither of us actually had the salad. We were then so engrossed in conversation that we completely forgot to video our main courses. But they were really nice. I had the veal loin and Joanne went for a herb-crusted chicken. Desserts were also very good. Pavlova for me and a fruit salad for Joanne.
Then we went to the Queen's Room.
No. Yes. Is that the one where the singers were?
That's the one where so they were doing a sort of 70s and 80s rock vibe.
So they were all very good singers, weren't they? So we sort of had a couple of drinks and watched them.
And they had 2 bands on. One was the...
Amethyst was one of them.
Amethyst Duo was one. That was the second group.
What? I can't remember who.
And I preferred them. And the other ones was the Queen Anne crew with a couple of singers.
Huh.
But the music that they did was very good. It was all our sort of era, the sort of things we grew up on. You know, well, you less like that type of music.
Yeah, I'm a soul girl.
Yeah, but this was the sort of 80s.
Yeah.
Bit of rock.
Pink Floyd.
Dire Straits.
Dire
Elton John. You know, those sorts of singers.
Been sort of Temptations and stuff. I would have been happy.
No, it was nice.
No, they were good.
And then after that,
We went to the Commodore Lounge.
we went to the Commodore Lounge and
a couple more drinks.
Yeah,
Friends and
there was a pianist playing there.
yes.
And yeah, it was just nice ambience.
Yeah.
It was nice as we went down the River Elbe because you could see the sort of lights far off. Made a nice vibe. Nice setting for the lounge itself.
Yeah.
We never found the spaces that we were going to particularly busy. We would always get a seat and we always got very quick service, both of which was excellent. We enjoyed the singers, they were very, very good. The dancers in some of the shows a little bit less so. We quite often found that we ended up in the Commodore Club, right at the front of the ship. It gave good views and it had a nice atmosphere. Tonight we were going out of the River Elbe, and as we went along you got some really nice shots of the buildings and the lights as we passed by. And then a nice piano. What more could you ask for?
So overnight, it's
storm.
a little bit rough.
Got woken up with the patio furniture being banged against the glass.
Yeah, but there's not a lot you can do about that. I mean, it's all hard pressed up against the glass now, so if we were to try to get out, we'd have to push the furniture out the way. But I slept really well, actually, until you woke me up at some forsaken hour.
That wasn't a forsaken hour.
You know.
6:30.
And you did manage to solve your problem, didn't you?
Yes, because the night before I'd been awake all night. Was overdue because the what do you call it? It's not. It's like a night light below the wardrobe. Couldn't find the switch to switch it off. Anyway, we found it now.
Yes.
We switched it off, which is great.
Beside one of the sides of the bed. It's the one with the UK socket.
Yeah.
So left side looking at the bed, and that obviously got switched, and we couldn't actually find a way of turning it off.
I was trying to find the right switch at 3 o'clock in the morning, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Anyway, last night was better, so we didn't have that on. Apart from we had the blowing quite a gust out there now, a bit of a storm.
And we've just been down to
blue
breakfast.
sky, actually.
Blue sky.
Blue sky out there.
It's sort of blue. There's a lot of grey, but there's a small little bit in one corner that is actually blue.
Anyway, we've been to breakfast, haven't we?
We've been to breakfast. Breakfast was great, actually. Yeah. I decided to go for a slight change with the grilled smoked mackerel. No, it was kippers.
Kippers, yeah.
Kippers, yeah, grilled kippers. All right. And I do like fish for breakfast. You're less so, aren't you?
Absolutely not.
No. And not many cruise lines give you fish. So I could have had a haddock, or I could have actually had the grilled. Oh God, I want to say salmon, but it wasn't grilled mackerel. Sorry, not grilled mackerel.
Kippers or haddock?
Kippers. I could have gone for the grilled kippers, but
you did.
Or the smoked haddock, and I decided to go for the grilled kippers rather than the smoked haddock.
Right.
Yeah,
Get confused.
Again, it was nice to get something different to the typical cruise breakfast menu. In this case, it was the smoked kippers.
Anyway, so we're going to a talk, aren't we?
Yeah, so
soon.
You're going, well, we're both going to part 2 of the
Linda Sage.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is about her experience.
She's worked in the prison service for all her life. And she's met like Myra Hindley and Rose West. So part 1 was really interesting. I just hope the part 2 is really interesting. Yeah. Because I was only the only one that went to part 1. And now all the others are coming to part 2, so I hope part 2 is as good as part 1 was.
And I'm also thinking about going to the glider pilots.
Yeah, afterwards.
Yeah, there's a talk on the how the glider pilot regiment was formed, and a little bit about its history, which sounded quite intriguing. So anyway, that sort of rounds us off for today.
Yeah. See you soon.
See you soon. Well, hello again.
Hi.
And we thought we'd give you a quick update on how the day's been.
Yes.
So we went off to a talk on prisons, wasn't it?
Yes, Linda Sage. It was part 2.
Yes.
I went to the first one the other day, and I said it to everybody. Oh, it's really good. So they all came along.
It was superb. I still enjoyed it. It went through a lot about the England and Wales justice system. Talks about some of the misconceptions that were there, and gave us some very interesting insights into prison life, particularly around the weapons that are manufactured and used.
How they made them, and yes.
As well as obviously how they make hooch and the tattoos and what they mean.
Could make that?
I didn't know. I didn't realise that, and they make it in a relatively short space of time as well. So that was absolutely interesting.
No.
Linda's actually dedicated 40 years to working in England's highest security prisons, and she's known as a criminal psychologist, writer, radio host and podcaster, and has recently published a book on the subject. In this session, she provided insight into the reality behind the prison system.
We then stayed for a bit longer,
Yeah.
and that was to have a talk on the glider pilot regiment, which was fairly short length of time as a regiment. It was formed during World War II, and it was in response to some German successes, particularly in Belgium, of using gliders, which changed how they were actually able to get into Belgium.
You'll notice I'm not saying very much on this because
Go on.
I nodded off.
I didn't.
It wasn't anything to do with the man. It was just nice and warm, and I just nodded off.
Yeah.
Now and again. So I didn't. I know it was gliders, but so I'll let you carry on with that.
But again, it was very interesting in how that regiment has now morphed into the Airborne Regiment, and a lot about some old Pathé film, showing actually the gliders that were in use, and some talks about how the different qualities of glider varied, how they adapted the glider to suit the various circumstances. Joanne is nodding, and she probably doesn't have a single understanding of what I'm saying.
No, but I did own up to the fact that
you did own up.
I mean, I wasn't asleep the whole time. I did, but yeah.
Yeah, only when I sort of nudged you.
I wasn't the only one of our party that fell asleep.
I didn't fall asleep.
No, but somebody else did.
Okay, well, we better not mention that.
No, we won't mention that.
Andrew Manzur, a former military pilot and chief instructor, shared the story of the Glider Regiment's programme. He highlighted the Germans as the first to use gliders in warfare, notably during the assault on the Ebden ML fortress, and by the mid-1940s, Britain had developed its own glider programme, which Andrew discussed in detail.
So we then went up to the artisan food hall, and I had a really, really nice fish finger burger.
It wasn't really a fish finger, though, was it? It was like a fillet of fish, really.
Yeah. But the sauces were nice.
Better than a fish
bun
finger,
was
I would have
nice,
said, yeah.
and it was absolutely gorgeous. And I then had a tiramisu pudding to finish it off with, and that was all nice as well.
Egg mayonnaise roll and a few crisps.
And then we made our way back to the room. There was something going on in the pavilion as we came past, wasn't there?
Oh, table tennis.
Yes, table tennis. They were going at it fairly energetically. We then came back to the room. Yep.
I decided to pack and put my feet up and read my book.
And I decided that I was going to go down to the chart room. And down in the chart room was a jazz band that was playing. Really good. Thoroughly enjoy a bit of jazz. So I mellowed down there, watching the world go by and listening to the jazz. And then I went on to a talk that was being given in the art gallery, which was on an artist called Mr. Brainwash. Now, he was the subject of Banksy's documentary, Exit Through the Gift Shop, and Banksy effectively discovered him. And they have some of his art in the gallery, and they were talking about the pieces, pointing out the details. They had both original artwork, which was on sale from around about £10,000, just under £10,000, to just over £38,000. So quite expensive. They had some limited edition pieces, so it's a much more reasonable £4,500.
You didn't buy any, though, did you?
I didn't buy any.
I did say before you went, don't you buy any?
And you know the objective is to sell when they give you a glass of champagne
Oh, so you've had a glass of champagne? You didn't tell me that.
Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah.
You know. So I had a glass of champagne as I listened to the talk.
And this is an original artwork that Mr. Brainwash calls a vandalized frame. Now, this work of art is quite simple in its message that you should keep going. You should keep pushing to follow those dreams, whatever they may be. You will see the thumbprint of Mr. Brainwash, authenticating it as his work. But the really interesting part is this serial number that is down the side of the crown. And this serial number is the serial number of a $1 US bill. Now, when you acquire a Mr. Brainwash work, he will take that dollar bill and he tears it in half. He keeps half of it with the serial number on it in his studio in Los Angeles. He then takes the other half of it, also bearing that serial number, and he will post it to you as the collector wherever you are in the world, meaning that you have half a dollar bill that matches this serial number and also matches the half that he keeps in Los Angeles. So there is no way that it could be anything but a one-off, unique, individual work of art.
And then I did a sort of bit of a look round the ship, and we then went on to a further follow-up talk, which was on graffiti art in general.
And we know how he likes graffiti, don't we?
Yeah, so that talked about how graffiti art emerged. It was in the Queen's Room, and it talked about how it changed from the scene in the 1980s, effectively because of the steps that New York in particular took to discourage graffiti on trains by coating the trains in a way that actually the graffiti would fall off, and also by putting on both high penalties for people found doing it, and also limiting the sale of aerosol cans and effectively policing the sale of aerosol cans. So they had to find new ways of actually showing their creative art. So it evolved from effectively street tags through more complicated street tags to street art. And you know, then because it moved from the trains, it went onto the sides of buildings, it went onto canvases, it went onto paper, and it went everywhere. And that really created the street art scene. It was absolutely brilliant. And they talked a bit about Banksy as well, quite a bit on Banksy. And they also, because it's, don't forget, it's an opportunity to sell, they also talked about the artist that we mentioned previously, Mr. Brainwash. So, you know, again, and another push to sell his items. But that was really good.
Well, my name is Sam, and I'm the Senior Gallery Manager for Cunard and Fine Art. He started to create more on paper and canvas. And we also have Jean-Michel Basquiat on the right-hand side of the screen, also following the same vein, creating works onto canvas. So now we're going to look a little closer at Banksy. Now I put there that Banksy is the art world's most famous mystery, but I'm going to tell you what we think we know about Banksy, as well as some of the pieces that have been created and also some of the stunts. It's very different from what you would expect to see from Banksy today. And the reason for that is that this work of art was created using a technique called freehand. Now, if you were to take away those 21st century props, you would be forgiven for seeing the work of one of the greatest artists that has ever lived in Cunard. Now, the work on the right-hand side is called Show Me the Monet, keeping in with the wonderful titles. £5 to get in, and every day there were 3 to 4 hour queues just to get in and experience Disembarking. If you wanted to go to the customer service desk, you were more than welcome to. It's a petrol-bombed ice cream truck that you can see at the top corner with a sign on the side saying customer service desk closed 24 hours a day. But if you'd have taken that opportunity of buying that work for £150, then perhaps you would have benefited from the results of an auction that occurred not long ago for £438,500. That is for a signed, numbered print from the portfolio of Banksy, not an original art. Mr. Brainwash, somewhat surprisingly, is not Mr. Brainwash. His birth name is Thierry Guetta.
And then as I came back, I did a bit of a walk around the ship as exercise, and then as I came back, the duet that we listened to last night
Amethyst,
Amethyst
sorry.
duo were playing in the pavilion. So I listened to them for a short
You like
while.
them?
Yeah, I thought they were really quite good, you know. There weren't that many people in the pavilion at that time. And then I came back to the room and basically packed. And now we're getting ready for the evening. So our last day
night,
on
yes,
board.
we'll be getting off the ship tomorrow, won't we?
Yeah.
And
we'll have to, when we get back home, give a bit of a reflection on what the ship is like and
driving
what we
back
think
to Devon.
of it. Yeah. Anyway, so got the evening to come. Let's see what that holds. So after a relatively short cruise of 4 nights, just over 4 days, and now comes the task of packing everything back up, ready to take in the case. So that's the next plan. Well, packing didn't take too long, and then we went down for an evening meal, leaving some space in our suitcases to pack up the clothes we were wearing the next morning. It was then on to the Queen's room, where we enjoyed another rendering of a acoustic duo that they had down there. That night, Cunard had their musical production of A Brief Encounter, which we decided we'd go along and see. Didn't really know quite what to expect. Well, we got some excerpts coming on, but it was a really good production. Both of us enjoyed it. It was something that was quite different, something we'd never ever seen on a cruise ship previously. And that makes a real difference when you're looking for different entertainment.
Laura! It's too late now to be sensible. It's too late to forget what we've said. And anyway, whether we'd said it or not couldn't have mattered. With you, I'm taking it badly. Freezing, burning, tossing, turning. Never know whether to laugh or cry.
Well, that does sound a little dull.
You couldn't be dull.
No, please, we must be sensible. Please, help me to be sensible. We mustn't behave like this. We mustn't forget that we've said what we've said.
Not yet. Alec, is that you? Yes. You're back early.
I felt a cold coming on, so decided to come back to bed.
An arrival back at Southampton on a very cold. -2 feels like -5. This was the briefest of getaways, 4 days to give us the opportunity to savour Cunard and to form a view as to whether it was a cruise line that we would like to go on again. And the answer is unequivocally yes. We both enjoyed it. We liked the Queen Anne ship. We had been worried about the formal nights, but we sort of rode those. But yeah, it's a great ship, great atmosphere, and the food was every bit as good as Celebrity.